and most greetings mates. Today I am going to answer some questions of yours and mostly my own questions addressed to the show. To start off, I would like to explain my picks for the previous video named History of Secondary Houses that must have played the game right and will rise. Those were houses Tarly, Tarf, Seaworth, Mormont, Clegane, Manderley, and Ironwood. Why these houses? First of all, their representatives are all part of the entourage of future rulers of Westeros. And second, almost all of them are underdogs of their own houses, so they know how to build a better world because they have seen how it is not to be a lord, to be an outcast even, so they can help create more socially flattened society in which name of person's house, father's name, won't mean more than this person's own deeds. Defeating the White Walkers means end of long winters, and that leads to the end of feudalism that was supported in Westeros for thousands of years by these long winters. Since winters were long, it was always a burden for society to live through them, because the food supplies needed to be made, guarded, and divided. And such a rhythm proposed a feudal system, which can be described as a set of reciprocal legal and military obligations among the warrior nobility, the knights, revolving around the three key concepts of lords, vassals, and fiefs. Thus, main mission of Westerosi lords for millennia was gathering food supplies, managing and guarding them, and these three concepts helped this purpose, sustained the system. But since White Walkers will be defeated, and nobody doubts that, the need for the feudal system will be drastically reduced, since growing, managing, preserving, and even guarding the food supplies will be made much easier, and political and social systems will change as well. Especially when across the sea there's a more modern society, flourishing already, capitalist society I would say. Let's look at House Tarly as an example. When I mentioned Tarlys in the video, I didn't mean that Randall, the tough general of an ancient house of great warriors, the marcher lords that defended Reach from the Dornish pillagers for centuries, will be on the rise after the defeat of White Walkers, and not even Dickon, his strong son, the huntsman, heir, food provider. Not at all. So as White Walkers will be defeated, and there probably won't even be no wall afterwards, and no Night's Watch as well, Samwell Tarly shall become free of his vow, and so he will be the heir to Randall, who's going to die for sure, especially since Sam is so close with the king in the north, a hero, a notorious figure in the world to come, even if dead. Once more. And even if Dickon, Sam's younger brother, survives, you heard him in episode 4, you know what he thinks of war now. He has seen dragon burning humans alive. He has slain Tyrells with whom he had hunted before, who were his buddies by the way, so he's not so fond of the war now as he was previously, influenced by his father, the alpha male. Thus I think he would rather give the right to rule to his older brother Samwell back, after Randall's death, and Samwell shall become a great ruler for the Reach, since Tyrells are all gone, because the Old Town is in the Reach, and the Citadel resides in Old Town. So Samwell, knowing how the knowledge is preserved within the Citadel, treated as it was a gold in the Iron Bank, hidden, basically, from the wide masses, will reorganize the organization so the knowledge would spread throughout the world. And this is how House Tarly will rise in the world to come, and Samwell shall be supported by not only the Starks, but by Manderleys as well. House Manderley was driven out of the Reach centuries ago by their bitter rivals, the Florents, but now, since House Florent supported Stannis Baratheon in the War of the Five Kings, they're all gone as well as Tyrells. So House Manderley will come back to the Reach and stimulate the trade, since they're quite good at trading. By stimulating the trade, especially the exports of food from the fertile Reach, Manderleys will be able to prevent possible conflicts between the regions of Westeros over the food supplies, and this is how this house shall rise in the aftermath of the game. House Ironwood, the ones who will dominate in Dorne after the fall of Martells, as they did before the rise of Martells, by controlling half of the Dorne back in the days. They shall make Dorne trade with the Reach, instead of warring over food, especially after defeat of Dorne's forces on water by Euron Greyjoy. They just won't have enough manpower to invade Reach, simple as that. Thus, House Ironwood shall rise in Dorne, being second in power right after the Martells. I get no doubt even that houses of the Iron Islands will become traders as well, as Greyjoys promised Queen Daenerys to abandon piracy. They will transport goods from the Reach to the distant parts of the continent, thus stimulating trade and growing rich. But there is a huge chance that Iron Islands will be the first ones to abandon lordship practices, since there will be no need in overlords for the trade fleet. Lords from the Iron Islands were always more of a warlords chosen by Kingsmoot, by the way, and each and every captain of the ship was a lord of his own ship by all rights. So Greyjoys will simply extinct, I believe, and in the Iron Islands will be formed something similar to our own world's East India Trading Company. That is not a matter of a few years, of course, a decade possibly, but that will happen eventually. House Stark is going to increase its influence in Stormlands. Let's remember with how many important characters of Westerosi politics did Brienne intersect. A lot of them, so she's at the point of being a great influencer, becoming a bodyguard of Queen in the North. I know Sansa is not a queen yet, but it looks like a possible scenario. Do I have to remind that fleets are being kept along the western coast of Tarth, as its mountains shield against storms and make the Straits of Tarth more pacific than the Narrow Sea or Shipbreaker Bay? And a safe zone means a lot for the trade vessels. It doesn't pay off though if you're a minor house, but it has to bring some benefit if you are the commander of a Queen's Guard, for example, or just an influential person at court. Thus, House Tarth shall increase its wealth by demanding a fee from vessels for using their harbors. And influence of Brienne of Tarth at the future court is undeniable. And that brings another question in front. Women emancipation in the world to come. When there will be no food shortages anymore and knowledge will spread freely, women won't be obliged to birth lots of children in order to just half of them to survive. Child mortality will decrease, and thus women won't have to be pregnant half of their lives anymore. Thus, women shall have more time for such things as work and education. I am sure that Gilly, whom Sam taught to read, will not be the only woman whom Sam is going to help with the education, knowing how kindly he treats his mother and sister. So, women emancipation is coming to Westeros. When the Wall will be destroyed and White Walkers defeated, House Mormont will play its part in world to come by colonizing those lands previously populated by wildlings. Climate will become warmer in those parts, so it will be easier to populate those areas. House Mormont, as one of the houses that supported both Daenerys Targaryen and Starks, will have its influence at court as well, especially if Jorah survives. And since House Umber cannot be trusted no more, and taking into account that they were the northernmost Westerosi house before, so they could be trusted with that mission before their betrayal, but not anymore, not taking Skagossi houses into account, then the Mormonts are the most likely candidates to gain priority for the colonization of those lands that were previously behind the wall. Thus, House Mormont shall rise, and if Jorah survives, he might even see his wife coming back to him, hearing of how rich his house has become. I wonder if I have to explain myself for picking House Seaworth for this list. I guess not. Davos has established himself as a great counselor, and his influence at the court will be undeniable, though I doubt that he will agree to become an advisor for the monarch after the defeat of White Walkers. He's humble and wise enough just to come back to his small keep, back to his wife, and live his life happily ever after. But even if he goes this way, House Seaworth shall be greatly rewarded for its service to the realm. There is still House Clegane left, so I shall try and explain their pick for the list. From all the underdogs I have mentioned, Sandor Clegane was the real hound. Since he is on his way to redemption now, I clearly cannot predict what could happen to him. If Sandor survives the final battle and fights it well, he could become a notable figure. If he does not survive, then there is no future for House Clegane. But if he does, his philosophy could change all the Westeros. Yet I do not believe he would want to become a lord. I think that his purpose in the story is to bring a new way of thinking to the fighting class of Westeros. Knights will extinct eventually, and since Sandor was always in denial of the knighthood, and because of his dealings with the Brotherhood without banners, I think he could become a major thinker, a symbol for those knights who will think on matters of how to live past the feudal society, how to adapt, and whom to serve. I might be right in my guessing on the future of the houses mentioned above, or all of those characters could simply die in the last season of the show, maybe even in the last episode. Please leave comments below. Hopefully all the living are going to unite and go fight the White Walkers till the end of the season. or at least they will understand the threat, because otherwise all the living will become dead because of starvation. By burning the food, Daenerys didn't leave her or Cersei's armies no other choice but to finish their struggle fast enough. If they do not confront the White Walkers soon enough, Westerosi will simply starve to death before the winter gets to King's Landing. Their only hope is bringing back the summer. Now I will answer some of your questions. Amsyar Hillman asked, in the TV series, since House Frey and Tully are in disarray, which house do you think will rise in the Riverlands? My answer is, I don't think that there will be Riverlands anymore. The regions have to blend together in order to survive, but someone will have to govern Riverlands region in order for it not to fall into complete anarchy after all what's done in there. And I think House Reed will step up and declare themselves as saviors of the Riverlands. Don't be surprised, House Reed have feuded with House Frey before over the land, and now, when Freys are gone, Reeds will take what is theirs. House Tully will survive through Admir Tully, but they will not be trusted. House Frey lives through Admir's child, and Starks will never allow that child or traitor Admir to govern the region. So I bet on House Reed, they deserve it. Tish Svanasselt asked if maybe Lord Baelish could become a new lord ruling over the Riverlands, since he's the Lord of Harrenhal now. My final answer is no way. Baelish is going to die. He has to die. Something is brooding in Winterfell now. Clouds are thickening above him. He's going to die. Dark Days said, based on the history of the family and their heirloom sword, a man would have argued for the inclusion of House Dane on this list. Maybe you got some suggestions, mates? I don't see that happening. Thought said, I have a question. What are the top 10 rules for playing and winning the Game of Thrones? My answer is, there are no rules, because there are no winners in this game. Even if your house succeeds during your lifespan, the envy of others towards you will bring all your family down. The best way that I would suggest is to form your own niche, in which you would be best, like House Hightower does, and stay in that niche, influencing events from time to time. Hightowers kneeled to all the supreme powers out there, and they eliminated those persons in the old town who tried to put them or city at risk. The best lords so far in my opinion, and Old Town blooms under their rule. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to discuss. See ya.